Abdul Patel is MD of Ethicore Political Consulting, and he joins us now from the Cape Town studio, and we're still doing commentary on last night's State of the Nation address. Good morning to you, Abdul. We've talked quite a lot about it this morning, and perhaps the principal issues that come out, apart from the mechanics and the spectacle of people being taken out of Parliament, is the executive and the legislature and the lines being blurred. I mean, the EFF and the DA very unhappy about that.
Yeah, look, clearly this was one of the more toxic environments within which a State of the Nation address had to be delivered, given the threat of disruption by the EFF, but also the fact that under the current socio-economic climate, it's a State of the Nation address where the President had his back against the wall. He had his back against the wall in respect of the allegations against him. He's had his back against the wall, and the government's had its back against the wall because of the very dire situation facing the economy around the energy situation, and the fact that whilst economic growth is positive, it's still rather flat, and we're just not creating the kind of jobs that we need to be creating, and we're not seeing the kind of upswing in the economy that's needed. And I think the hope of the nation was to get something very extraordinary out of the speech, irrespective of whether you like Jacob Zuma, the man, or whether you voted for the ANC or not, that in that kind of position of leadership, people look to leaders in these kinds of circumstances to show us what is the road and how are we going to traverse our journey on that road.
Abdul, chaos in Parliament, this is not unique to South Africa. Could we say this is just growing pains because we are seeing the ruling party being challenged?
Look, I think we must contextualize the chaos that we're seeing. I mean, as you say, chaos is not new to Parliament, and that's, I suppose, the nature of the political beast when you've got political parties bickering on points because of different ideologies. But the current circumstances are unprecedented. The rules of Parliament were never written and never envisaged this kind of situation manifesting itself. And as we've said before, many other commentators and analysts have pointed to this, is that it points to the changing nature of our political landscape and the fact that the rules and the protocols and procedures that govern decorum in the National Assembly haven't kept pace with our changing political landscape. And what now needs to happen is those rules need to be reassessed and they need to be reorientated so that what you don't have is a situation where the Speaker, whether or not he or she agrees or disagrees with a view of a political party or a question or point of order, but is able to enforce the rules so that decorum is able to prevail and that the rules can be applied in a consistent manner, irrespective of which political party is seen to be infringing those rules.
Abdul, there seemed to be a kind of joint speakership last night. We had Thandi Modise from the National Council of Provinces and Baleka Mbete, the Speaker of the National Assembly. They were both sitting there, both trying to keep order there. One has to ask, where does it go from here? The EFF is not going to go away, and they are going to carry on asking the President to pay back the money. The DA is still going to pursue the issues of police in Parliament and so on. Surely something has to change, or we're just going to get this every time Parliament sits.
Look, I think the issue of the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the National Council of Provinces, I mean, it's customary in the joint sittings that both of them occupy the podium. But what we saw yesterday was an inability of the Speaker of Parliament, which we've seen before when this matter has previously flared up, to actually contain the sitting of the House and to prevent it from degenerating into chaos. And so the Speaker of the National Council of Provinces was in many respects a saving grace and was able to exert a degree of authority that took the sting out of the issues insofar as the personalities around how the issues are dealt with is concerned, because I think the EFF's view, and certainly I'm sure the view of the Democratic Alliance would be that the Speaker of Parliament, Baleka Mbete, is not acting independently and not acting in a non-partisan manner in the way in which she's dealing with these issues. And that is a fundamental problem, because it means whenever she makes a ruling, if it is seen as encroaching on her independence and non-partisan role that she should be playing, there's always going to be dissent. To the point that you asked as to how long this is going to go on for, I mean, I don't want to venture and say, well, you know, things are going to get better in 6 months or in a year. The fact of the matter is, until political parties feel that they are getting answers to the questions that they are asking, we're likely to see this trend continue. And so if the president is indeed going to answer questions around the Nkandla issue when he appears before Parliament for question and answer session on the 11th of March, I think two things have got to happen. The first thing is that
Abdul, I'm going to have to stop you there, but thank you so much for that insight. We will try and pick up this conversation. That was Abdul Patel. He's the MD of Ethicore at Political Consulting.